Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get started in just a moment. LinkedIn live virtual audience, also thank you very much for attending. We appreciate you. This is AI for Designers, and we are AI User Group. We're a community of professionals interested in the latest AI-powered tools and how they can be applied to our professional day-to-day. We host weekly meetups focused on the fields of marketing, design, and software development. Once again, this is AI for Designers. A few announcements before we get started. The lineup for tonight. First, we'll hear from Dhruv and Zarya. Then we'll hear from Matan. Then we'll hear from Ansh. At 8 o'clock, we'll do an open mic right here. So if you'd like to make a quick announcement at 8 o'clock to kick off networking, you're welcome to. At 8:05, we'll have pizza and do some networking. And we'll close the doors at 8:50. Doors close at 8:50. And what else? One quick announcement from me. Call for speakers. We're always looking for talented speakers to present here at AI for Designers, AI for Marketers, and AI for Developers. I posted just a few ideas here. In general, we like speakers who are AI tool creators, like two of our speakers tonight. We also like users and professionals working in the field, using the tools. It doesn't have to be a single tool. It could be a multi-tool approach. So if you're using an AI-powered tool in your day-to-day and you want to present about it, we'd love to hear from you. So please get in touch with me. I just threw some ideas up here. Working with Figma, Framer, Shutterstock. If anyone has any access to Sora and wants to share first impressions, you don't need to be an expert. A lot of us aren't experts, and that's okay. But share your experience, what's worked and what hasn't, and what's production ready. So that's kind of what we're interested in. My next opening is April 24th. So yeah, please get in touch. And let's talk about a potential presentation. That's my email, by the way. Probably what I emailed you tonight with. Same email. Okay, without further delay, I'd like to introduce we have two speakers, which is really exciting. Dhruv and Zarya. Dhruv is the founder and CEO of Create. Zarya is the founding designer at Create. The title of the presentation is Giving Designers Developer Superpowers. I love that title. Without further delay, let's hear from Dhruv and Zarya.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Great. Yeah, I'm Dhruv, one of the founders of Create.
And I'm Zarya, the founding designer at Create.
I told Zarya she had to come. It's a AI for Designers meetup, and she happily complied the day like an hour before. But in a nutshell, Create is a new AI design and dev tool we're working on that turns anyone into a developer. We're working on text to app, so the ability to just describe the application you're building and then query quickly, see working code for it, and going code up to everything you need. And so when we launched a couple of months ago, we started with UI components. We quickly moved up from there to sites and prototypes. And we're now starting to get to the realm where just with a description, you can quickly build AI-powered tools. And we're excited to show you some of that tonight. How we're seeing designers use it is in really making interactive prototypes and components a lot faster and collaborating with their engineering counterparts in their organization or on their team. Or just generating more ideas in concert with the LLM. So we'll show those off, and then we're going is having designers being able to actually make their own tools without necessarily needing to involve engineers or collaborate with engineers. And so I think what Zarya and I will show you tonight is I'm more of an engineer by training. Zarya is a designer by training, and yet we can collaborate just a lot better working together on top of Create. And so. Before I start and just jump into a demo, the radical thing I'd say is that we believe at Create in 10 years, most software will be created with natural language. And if you believe that, the question is, well, then what is the tool set that you use to create software with natural language? How do you make that easy? How do you manage that? How do you collaborate on top of that? And so we're taking a stab at it. But this is the tool. It's pretty straightforward. You have a description on the right, and we go ahead and render the code for whatever you want to create in the main screen. Most people are familiar with very simple prompts. So to motivate with like a real use case. Here's our pricing page. We've launched a bunch of things. We're about to update this. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's generate some ideas for a new pricing page. And so I like using LLMs this way. So make me a pricing page for a SaaS AI app builder, right? And as I type, it starts to actually build the code. And my favorite part of this is just actually honestly to get some ideas. And so in like the idea generation space, it's really great. It's a fairly basic prompt, and so as a result, it's not that detailed on what I actually want, but off the bat, it gives me a pretty standard looking pricing page. If I'm not happy with how this first version is kind of going, I can always hit try again and just generate the entire thing from scratch. So I'll do that because this looks too basic. We'll see if we win the lottery a little bit. And what's happening under the hood is we are streaming the actual code outputs from the LLM. And this is full React code written with Tailwind. We're actually auto-fixing any of the issues and any of the outputs that the LLM have on the fly, and then we're rendering it so that code always renders. And so this is cool. It's full code up. I think this is actually, what do you think?
Yeah, I like this one. This one's fun.
Yeah, it's a cool start. But the cool thing is you can start to work with the LLM to actually build from here. So I'm like, this is kind of basic, but I also, for my new version of the pricing page, I want a bit more stuff. So I'm gonna say have the following sections. And as I'm typing, it is taking the previous version of the code and my updated spec to basically rebuild the entire app. So I'm gonna have a hero section with a title and a subtitle, and then I want the pricing options, and then I want some testimonials, and I'll stop there for now. And now I can basically wait for it to kind of go ahead and build these pieces. If it messes up at any point, Create actually tracks the revision history of all your different revisions, and so you can step back into the future and or into the past. Sorry, I wish you could step back into the future, and jump back to something that kind of worked. In addition, because it's code, it's instantly live, right? So it really collapses the time from design. Like if you can get it to look exactly like you want here, you just press publish and you can share it with your team. Or give it to a user. And so we're seeing early users use this to really shrink the time from design to live and get going. The final thing is that because it's just English, the interesting thing we're noticing is that different people are better at talking to the LLM in different ways. And so from the start, we started a built-in collaboration. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Zaria to help me with this project. I can probably give it some descriptions on how I want the functionality to work if the React code's not quite right. And Zaria is probably a lot better than me at kind of describing how its brand will be. So while she's logging in, I think one last thing I should show before we start working together on this is in addition to plain text, you can also use Vision and GPT Vision through Create to really speed up the process. And so even though I can click on these different pieces and just go ahead and change the underlying code, I can also just say put all the text in the pricing options from this photo. Because I'm not really going to change my core feature set or my core descriptions of the different plans, and it'd be a lot more efficient if it could just go ahead and copy that over. And so, there's just new types of workflows you can do. We see a lot of designers join Create on our site and then kind of use Create as a mood board. They might just screenshot a bunch of different things around the internet, put them together, especially at the start of a new project, and get it to start outputting the code for it. So Zaria is going to jump in here and also start to work herself.
Yeah, exactly. So this actually looks pretty good, but of course we want to make sure it looks like our brand. If it's going on our site, we want to be able to customize it a little bit. So it's really easy actually to add in design feedback. So if we wanted to add a font, I can just kind of put in, use the font enter. You can use any Google font. You can just reference it by name, and you'll see it's going to rebuild, and it's going to start using that font instead of what it had before. You're also able to change things like color, like we have our brand kind of color for all of the text on our site, and I can just kind of put in that hex code, and it's going to change all of our text color to match that hex code. Not only can you kind of get specific with specific fonts and specific hex codes, you could also type in, make this red, make this blue, make this light red, make it light blue. You can reference things with pixels. You could say, put these two elements 4 pixels apart or round the corners by 10 pixels. But you could also just say, I want a button with slightly rounded corners, or I want something that is completely square. So you can get very kind of specific, or you can take a step back, which really helps when you're, just prototyping or trying to get inspired. There's a lot of flexibility in what you can try out and really kind of get more specific as you figure out what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is Zari is actually sometimes better at describing to the LLM than what we at the Ansh team is. And so very quickly, she can actually prototype features in Create itself just by describing, what she's looking for, and then we can go grab the code from that, and we can either copy it or download the project and integrate it into our repo and get it to ship. And so from here, there's one other thing that I want to show, which is that this is nice. It's a single-page app, but to build more complex apps, we're actually launching something today which should be familiar to most people in product building, which is components. So to make a component, right, you can just click on either the spec itself. So you can if I have these pricing options and I'm going to specify it, I'm actually going to convert this to a component. And this will be pricing card, right? And if I create this, it will go ahead and open up a new editor for the pricing card, and I can go ahead and just describe in more detail the pricing card and how it should work and what it should look like. It basically allows us to shrink the context that the LLM has to take into account, and so you can add a lot more detail and fine gain control at this point. And then once you've locked it, when you jump back to your actual pricing page, you'll see that it's now been replaced with the component, and I could go ahead and update, my component. The other way you can build components is actually just from the code itself. So you can grab, it's still building right now. Got to go figure that out, and rebuilding as I do this. But you can click on things and convert them rapidly to components. I think the demo gods right now are not being that kind. Building full prototypes is interesting, but as a workflow in an existing product, I think what we've been encouraged by is the ability to also use Create to actually just make these components on their own. And again, the advantage is that because you're making them in code, they're exactly what it would be like if they shipped to prod. And so here's a component Zari made. I'll let you talk through how you made it.
Yeah, so this one's really fun. This is just kind of a basic menu design we were talking about. I wanted all of the icons to switch on hover, and I wanted a little kind of, line to follow them. So when you're hovering over the icons, the file changes, and you can see that there's a little blue line on hover. So we made this in honestly 15 minutes with this text and then 3 different components. So each of these individual icons is a component with 2 kind of SVGs where all we wrote in between was, hey, on hover, can you switch the SVG? So you'll see this text kind of right there, the on hover, the icon should be replaced with. And then that we were able to rapidly sort of prototype this menu that is in full code. So I kind of like this better than having to, create a bunch of mocks and prototype them together, because you do have the flexibility of saying, hey guys, I already built this actually. If you want to use it, you can just take the code and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
This one also is great, and I think this actually hits like a very unique opportunity where you want a prototype where people are able to, type in what they want and really get a feel for how it's actually going to work. So for this prototype, you're able to type in words that are then going to become kind of tabs underneath that you can exit out of, you can clear, you can keep adding to. And so this is one of, I think, the best opportunities to really get a feel for something that you can't just do in a design. Someone could come in, use this, I can send them the link, they can type in whatever they want, they can see what it looks like, we can troubleshoot together, and really get a kind of live feel for how this is going to be when it's a part of our actual product.
Yeah, and then the interesting thing is like if you actually go to the filter chip level, it's kind of natural language, but it looks a little bit like pseudocode right now, and we're building faster affordances to quickly update these things. But as Zaria is saying, like medium weight text with these hex codes, an X that's about 10 pixels away, but she's just quickly jotting notes and then it's rendering at this level. By the time it kind of bubbles up, it really starts to feel like English. Like, okay, there's an input, and as you type, it's gonna show me this chip, and she doesn't have to keep specifying those core details. And so we're building up the abstraction layer and software development from here. I think one of the things I'm most excited about is we now, because we're actually building React apps, are starting to venture into actually creating AI-powered tools. And of course, I got logged out of the demo. Give me one sec.
I think something that is really fun about Create, especially as a designer, is that sometimes I feel very kind of removed from the code when I'm designing in Figma, which I think, a lot of us are prototyping in there. And then when something is built, it often feels different than your kind of static mock does. And so being able to really go in Create has helped me sort of understand the coding layer a little bit more. I'm able to really kind of plug things in, see how they feel, which I think matters so much more when it matters more than you think, and I think it catches me by surprise a lot how, I plug it into Create, I'm able to get something that actually works, and it makes me want to change my design. I'm like, you know what, actually this hover would be better, or maybe I want to change, the color of this piece when I'm clicking on it, and getting all of those levels and all of those feelings is really fun to play with when I can just do it with English, and I don't even need to, reach out to an engineer to help me mess around with all of those things.
Yeah, and similarly, I think in every organization and in places we've worked in the past, there's lots of custom-built software that you have to run either your organization or your ops. And what we're excited about Create is just letting anyone be able to build that software on the fly for what they need. And so, because we're building React apps, this is actually a tool, right, that we made in English. And if you set up your APIs, like your REST APIs, you just have to reference it. And then you can very quickly, in a few sentences, start to build quite complex tools, and Create's figuring out how to actually hook up all the code to talk to that API, pull in your data. You can reference our built-in AI integrations, which some designers who are working on AI products love because it allows them to very quickly on their own data prototype, what if I make the prompt this to GPT? How does that actually affect, the results And under the hood, we're actually making the call to the API endpoints. In this case, with fake data, but if you publish it with real data, and then sending your results to GPT. And so, you can very quickly start to change different interactions, or components are working now. So you can also create from the builder. So you can actually go ahead and convert this form to a new type of form, and start to actually specify exactly how you want that form to kind of look in apps like this. And I think with that, we are set. So happy to take any questions, and thank you guys so much.
Thanks so much, Dhruv and Zaria. Any questions from the audience? Let's start Q&A. Perfect. And when you're done asking your question, first of all, if you could just stand when you ask your question, when you're done, just pass it to the next person or back to me, and that'll keep the continuity going.
You said that you, I guess, save the state as you're moving along. Is that the code state or the LLM memory as well?
That is the code state at every revision. Yeah, and so that allows you to just jump back to the previous thing. But then if you jump back, you can start, rebuilding from there along with the LLM.
Hi. Are you able to save the components in a certain way that you can then recall them each time within a component, like a component within a component,
Yeah.
a nested component?
Yes, you're able to kind of nest them over and over again. They're global in your project, so you're able to reference them on different pages. If you create, like a header you really want across all of your different projects, you're able to just add that in.
Really cool.
Hi. When you said publish, so we actually can publish real time, or is it more like testing it, like internally? Because on a daily basis, we have a lot of changes from our clients in different industries that require a lot of like internally approvals as well within design of how it looks and not just code. So we just wanted to check like how it should like go into the routing softwares where all the team is included and like looking at the designs and commenting and then getting back to us as designers. You understand like how we have to like fix things and then get
For
back
sure.
and export it again. So
Yeah, so we have a preview state where you can basically send a link to somebody, and it's a little bit of an obfuscated link, so no one's going to guess it, and you can use that to kind of get feedback on something that looks like a real web app. And then you can publish actually at a created.app domain, and on a pro plan you can add your own custom domain to any of your apps. And so and yeah, we mean publish like live publish the same way. If you use any of the previous no code era tools, you can quickly publish and have it live on the internet for anyone to go to.
I'm Rio. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm really excited to use your product, and just wanted to ask you, what's the story behind your logo? I see like a bracket, but just curious.
Yeah, it's a funny story. It's actually designed by a friend of ours, and is because when Marcus and I started the company, we always thought it'd be really cool if you actually really had a code generator that could develop applications. Would it be possible to actually build the application you're building or the tool you're building in the application itself? And so the image that actually reminded us most of that was actually Escher's hands, of the drawing hands. And then our friend also found this brilliant way to also kind of make it look like the code symbol. And so I think we both were like, oh, it's code, but it's also Escher's hands. And so, yeah, let's create.
I was wondering, how does this work at scale, or what's your vision like for the future?
Sorry?
Your applications, how they work at scale and everything.
Yeah, so we have a number of ideas there. So far, we haven't really moved yet into the backend place. You can connect your own APIs, and so if your APIs scale, like it will be fine, and we'll actually scale with you. But yeah, no, our goal is like fully scalable applications that auto scale with your users and as you get usage as well. And so, yeah, we plan for that.
Hi, thank you again for the demo. Quick question more on the developer side. The code is generated, how far is from production code? In terms, you give it to the developer, then it's just a few tweaks, or are you right?
Yeah, I think it's fairly close to production code. I mean, there can be, there can be some tweaks. I think every developer has their own styles and things, and so I think what we are shooting for is a world where you verify the app is working, and then if you need to, you can kind of drop down to the code level to fix things, especially if we don't support it, or if you need to actually make some changes. Yeah, I think that's how we're thinking about it today. But it's written in TypeScript. It's type checked. You can actually check it in to GitHub. It's written with all open source libraries. Every developer then has preferences around, oh, well, I like my code, my files be formatted this way. And I think what's really interesting is there's lots of tools that are kind of targeting existing developers and how you can help existing developers be more productive in getting code in the format you like. I think what we're excited about is that can you give the power of code to people who previously couldn't code at all? And so it's a little bit of a different trade-off you make in terms of, like we care a lot about it rendering on screen because we know a lot of our users may not be able to actually fix it like live, where you might care less if you're a developer, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool product. I'm just wondering, what do you think about the product that's not great right now that you foresee getting much, much better?
Oh, sorry, this was my founder hack. I'm like everything, no, I think this is like just the start. So we have so many ideas on we're trying to push the pace pretty hard on how capable we can make these. The really exciting thing is the model layer is getting a lot better, and as that gets better, that actually rises and makes the applications you can build on top like much more interesting. Speed is a big one. I think you probably caught that today. We're working on a number of things to both hide latency from the user as well as like just make it raw faster and easier to get code outputs. And then I think I think it's going to be a challenge to keep it still simple, right? As you add more and more complexity, and how do you actually manage that? And that's probably Zaria's wheelhouse to make sure that that stays simple.
Yeah. I think we definitely see, the challenge now as, helping you build something complex in a way that you are easily able to understand how to build that. And keep it simple, but allow you to build things that are really complex. And I think we touched on it a little with nested components, but kind of taking that idea farther, as things that you can build with Create get deeper and deeper, how are you able to add more detail and add more complexity and feel really confident in building the product that you're building?
Yeah, I think one other thing that we've focused a lot on in the early iterations is alignment. So as you're talking to Create, are you getting things that you expect? And if not, like how fast is it to recover from those things, and how quickly can you get things that are more aligned? And so a lot of how we got to this real-time building aspect is we just found it helped users have more control. Like they could just add more details to the things that were slightly wrong. But I think as we do that, as we are getting more and more data, we're going to be able to make models that are much, much more aligned with exactly what a user means, because we'll see a lot of user behaviors of, when a user says this, they mean this when they're app building.
We have time for one more quick question.
One more question. How do you train your models in terms of UX? And how do you make sure that your AI learns on good UX and dark patterns are not going into it?
How do we train our models in terms of, I missed that word.
UX. So you have just generated pricing page. How do you make sure that it's a good UX, not like common mistakes, most popular on the web, and that you don't have dark patterns there?
Yeah, so we curate a lot of the training examples that we use in any models we fine tune, and that can be kind of manual. And then we also do it from some of the user data around like, okay, are people going to this app? Do people like using this app? Is this app getting views and is like interesting? But a lot of it is still manual curation and honestly curating and generating data that has the rules baked in. So like what Zaria says is an interesting, good app and dark patterns. And I think as over time, we're trying to do that at the code level so that it takes into account UX patterns. But it's interesting. I don't know. Software is kind of changing. I think some of our favorite apps are the ones that break all the rules in terms of like the standard UX patterns. And it feels like the internet's becoming a more fun place.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think AI is going to transform how we use apps and what UX does and what it is. And so I think it's fun to be part of that while it's changing and help other people create, in that new space as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but Dhruv and Zaria will be here for networking, so let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Okay, we're just getting set up for our next speaker, Matan from Pika. Give us a moment. We're switching over from the 2-speaker setup to the 1-speaker setup. So there's just a few adjustments for the team.
Quick adjustments. All right. And this one as well, right? All right. And I need to see that. Yeah, just for a second. Can everyone see my messy desktop? All right. I think we're pretty much set. All right. Take into consideration the sound is working. Everything is okay. Yeah. No worries. Do you have a bottle of water? Some water, maybe?
Amin introduce you, and then I'll go get it.
All right, no worries.
I'll get it.
All right, no worries.
Okay, so our next speaker, Matan Cohen-Grumi. Matan is the founding creative director at Pika. The title of his presentation is AI-powered video generation and editing. Without further delay, here is Matan.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? Thank you. That's unnecessary. No, kidding. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I come from 20 years in the advertising industry. I started out as a graphic designer, but was always fascinated by video. So I slowly transitioned into TV commercial director. For the past 10 years or so, I directed like almost 100 TV commercials for brands like Adidas, Procter & Gamble, Nestle Foods, and many, many others. I just quickly previewed you a few of those, which are of course not AI generated, thank you. But let's go into the AI area right now. So around August last year, I saw the insane progress that generative AI videos were making, and I started playing around with AI and created those AI videos and just put them on Twitter. And quickly after, I was contacted by Pika and joined the company. Now, going back a little bit, Pika was founded by 2 of my colleagues, Demi Gu and Shanlin Meng, who dropped out of Stanford to create an easy-to-use AI video generator. And our mission is to give everyone the power to create and edit high-quality videos by utilizing the power of AI. So we are basically a consumer product. Since last April, when they founded the company, about 1 million users have tried Pika already, and it's now being used to create millions of new videos each week. And the concept of our product is very, very simple. If you can type it, we can visualize it for you. And on that note, last November we officially launched our website, which is pika.art. And I like to show you that launch video that I created back in October. And it showcases many of our features in like under a minute, and it's pretty fast, so don't blink. And we don't have sound. 1 second. Should we have sound? All right. We're gonna take it to the Thank you, guys. I'm going to preview a ton of more videos during this presentation. So this is Pika.art. This is our website. As you can see, there's like a prompt box at the bottom if you want to start creating videos. And the top is like a gallery of everything you created so far. So you can always go back to something that you created and iterate on it, or just use it as a base to create something entirely new. We have 3 ways to create videos. And the first one is text to video. The second one is image to video. And the third one is video to video. So what's text to video in the most basic definition of it? It's imagine typing something like 3D rendering, a raccoon typing on a laptop. Our model will think for like a minute, and then it will give you this. Now, a personal confession, I am obsessed with raccoons, so you will be seeing a few more of those today. Let's try something a little bit more imaginative. A cinematic shot, Dall-E in on a stylish Japanese girl with dreads standing in a pink desert. Again, our model will think for less than a minute, and then it will shoot out this beautiful clip. If you notice, I added the style of the video I want our model to create, and it responds according to that. So again, if I type anime style, a beautiful pond in the middle of an urban jungle ruins, Makoto Shinkai, I will get exactly that. And then Makoto Shinkai is an anime director known for this distinctive style, something that I learned while working on this. Now, what can you do with all those clips? I like to show you 2 demonstrations. The first one is a music video that me and another one of my colleagues, Jesse, created a few months ago when we tested that anime model. So we used that style as a reference, and we crafted this very abstract story about a red-haired girl and her ginger cat going through the different seasons of the year. Well, let's watch it. Yeah. So, yeah, everything you just saw was created basically simply by typing. You can wait with the clapping because I will just show another one in a second, but I appreciate it. So it was created simply by typing. This means we generated numerous clips just by describing in a text what we want to see in each one, and then we quickly arranged those on a timeline. We added music, some sound effects, and then in less than a day, this music video was ready. Another style that our model generates pretty well is 3D animation, and now I'm going to show you another one of just that style. It's basically like a bunch of clips. All right. Yeah, no, I assume that most of you are already familiar with image generators and like Midjourney and all those. I want to demonstrate how you can seamlessly blend that familiar workflow with Pika, specifically by using our image to video. So for example, this is an image I created with an image generator, and we can upload that image to Pika and just provide a description of the image and how we want it to be animated. So for instance, a girl waking up underwater, water movement, small bubbles. Then again, it will think for like less than a minute and it will generate this beautiful 3-second clip. So again, after generating a series of those 3-second clip from a storyboard you might already created, you can piece together a complete video. So I'm gonna show you another promotional video I did for Pika back in October using this exact workflow. This is before we launched the website. We were still in beta mode and we were just operating on Discord. But yeah, let's watch it. Right. Thank you. So, a lot of people are not aware, but a pika is a small mountain-dwelling mammal native to Asia and North America with short limbs, a very round body, an even count of fur, and no external tail. So that wasn't a hamster or a rabbit. That was a pika in that video. So I told you a little bit about my background as a TV commercial director, and about 1.5 years ago, I directed an international TV campaign for a beauty brand called Sabon. And it was this big production. It took over 1.5 months to create. It cost around $80,000. There was a large crew of people, very highly talented individuals, and it was all shot using high-speed phantom cameras. And just for the experiment of it, I kind of wanted to see if I could recreate the same commercial simply by using Pika and typing on my computer without showing Pika like any frame from the original commercial. So basically just describing it shot by shot and trying to recreate it. So I want to again show you the AI generated result, and then in the end, like kind of a side-by-side comparison with the original TV campaign. All right, that's one. That was the AI generated. Now let's watch the both. On the left is the original one. Yeah. So as you can see, thank you guys so much. Thank you. As you can see, there is a difference, of course, between the two, and I couldn't have created the AI-generated one without going all the creative process and the help of everyone who was involved in that creation. So basically, a lot of the work was done on the first one, but it was possible to create that AI-generated results in terms of aesthetic and everything. And again, I just want to mention, like, the AI-generated version never saw the original one, so it was all described. The only shot where I did use existing material was the last product shot, and what I did, I just took an image from the brand's Instagram page, and then I kind of animated with Pika, because you can't really describe this exact product, this exact bottle, this exact labeling. So that was a little bit custom. So I kind of told you about text to video, image to video. The last one, which I will really talk about briefly, is video to video. You saw it in the launch video. It was the part with the galloping horse part that changed for styles. So again, you can upload any kind of video or create any kind of video, and then kind of just change the descriptions of what you want to see, and it will kind of save the same composition, the same motion, but it will remake the whole video, but keep those same characters. So you can also upload a video, like a selfie shot or whatever, and then tell it to change it, and it will do something probably pretty freaky. Two features that I want to show you that are pretty much exclusive to Pika in the video world are, the first one is expand canvas. And so, like, up until today, if you had, for example, a 16:9 video, and you wanted to use it for, let's say, a vertical video for TikTok or Instagram stories or whatever, like a 9:16, you would have to crop this and then scale it up, and that kind of made it challenging to find, like, this perfect composition, and it often resulted in loss of quality because you have to scale it up a lot, right? So with expand canvas, you can now expand the edges of those videos, and Pika will magically fill those empty spaces for you. So this will turn into that, like, by the magic of AI. And I can take that clip, and then I can kind of tell it, you know what, I want it to be back 16:9, but keep that nice perspective and just give me more of the background. And this will turn it to that. So, like, almost 70% of what we see right now around that original shot was created just by expanding. So we started with this pretty great looking raccoon in a medium shot, and we ended with this extreme long shot. And it saved the camera motion, it saved all the lighting, and it's pretty cool. So just in terms of use cases, you can easily resize an asset for your client or for any social media. Let's consider a scenario where you don't just want to expand the canvas, but you also want, like, to add another object in that expanded space. You can achieve that by combining prompts when you expand. And I will just show you a brief demonstration of that feature. And also there's, like, this small video to video in the end, so pay attention. But let's say we want to, add a horse in that space. You got a horse. And then you want to change it to a different style. So what's cool about it is just you can keep iterating on the same video, and just made so many variations of the same thing. And continuing on that thought, the next feature I want to show you is really, I think we were the first one to release that. It's pretty groundbreaking, and we call it Modifier Region. And the reason this one is pretty groundbreaking is because up until now, while you were working with AI video generation, it was always somewhat of a gamble. So what I mean is you would generate a video by typing in a text prompt, and let's say everything is perfect in that shot, right? But one thing you kind of want to change. Usually what you would do is you go back to the prompt, you reprompt it, and then you get something completely new. So maybe that one thing that you want to change is now okay, but something else got screwy. So we've addressed that exact issue with this feature. So for instance, Here I generated a raccoon standing on a cliff. Beautiful raccoon. And I like the composition of the shot. I like the camera angle. I think the cliff looks great, but I do want to change that raccoon for some insane reason. So basically, I would just simply select it with a selection box, and I will type something else, let's say like a 3D animated cat. I don't know why, but that's what I decided. And you will get this. So also, like, it does a great job of like mixing those styles together. So the original shot was kind of cinematic or nature oriented, and this is just something like 3D. And look at the composition, the lighting, everything just match up perfectly. Let me show just a few more examples of this. You can also upload a photo or just take a stock footage video, sorry, and then iterate on it. And here is just changing some dishes. Here I took like stock footage from ArtGrid and just made it like Christmas oriented. So I added like a couple of Christmas trees and a Christmas sweater. And this is, I took that raccoon and then changed just his face to a dog. And I got this weird looking but cute hybrid dog raccoon. And I love that concept because if you can see where I connected it, but it's basically a raccoon with a dog's head. Let's play it again because it's so cute. All right, another example I want to show you is not by me, it's by my friend, a very talented director from Berlin named Martin Harlan. We took that feature and tried it for the first time, and he went out with, I think, with his girlfriend in a very cold day in Berlin and just played around with it. And this is what he came up with. Brilliant guy. Go follow him on Twitter or wherever because I love this guy. Yeah, so basically this is what we achieved in less than a year in the AI business. In 2024, we are planning to have a better model, longer base generations, higher base resolutions. And before we finish off, I just want to show you this latest thing that we released yesterday morning, which again, I think we're the first AI video platform to release, which gives you the ability to make your generations talk. So if you had a generation that was silent up until now, you can upload a voice file, like an audio file, or even generate like, we have 11 Labs integrated into our website, so you can just type in whatever you want, choose one of the 46 voices that 11 Labs has to offer, and then it will make it talk. And I will just show you this demo, and then we can do some Q&A.
Oh my God. I'll be damned. Is this real?
Pika now supports lip sync, and it is truly spectacular.
Wait, hold up.
These things can talk?
For real?
What kind of dark sorcery is this?
Mon Dieu, j'entends une voix. Well, I'm officially speechless.
Giddy up.
All right. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Okay. Let's start Q&A.
Yeah.
And if you can, in the interest of time, make your question concise.
And easy.
And easy and pass the
not
mic
about
when
solar.
you're done.
Yeah, I use this tool a lot. I love it. People freak out over it. But I really like the modify region function, but I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that the modified regions follows the same style as some kind of an image that I brought in from, like, say, Shutterstock or something like that. Is there something that you can do in the prompt to really contain the modified region?
I think if you don't define a style, it will do a good job. But if you want a different style, then you can just define it. So let's say I said a 3D. So I would just, I think either don't define any style or define the style that you want. So if you want the same style, and let's say you upload from Shutterstock a photorealistic image, I would just add photorealistic style. Or if it's like a nature documentary, I would say nature documentary style. And if it's like a 3D rendering, then 3D rendering style, and so on and so on.
You would put that at the beginning of the prompt or a realistic style comma?
I like to put my style in the beginning. Some people like to put them in the end. What is the difference? I can't tell. I can tell there is a difference.
I'm hoping you could tell me.
Everything is random about AI. So, I just play around with both options, and one of them will be to your liking, I hope.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering, to what extent Pika or any AI-generated video, image creation software would repeat itself. For example, I wanted to create an image of a woman walking in the rain. The next person wants to create a woman walking in the rain. 10 million people wanted to create the same image using the same app. Would we all get the same thing? Or if I do it the next time, would I get something else?
If you ever manage to create the same thing twice, show it to me, because that would be incredible. There's this thing called random seed, and it just makes it impossible to create it unless you give it exactly the same random seed. And that random seed is like a, I don't know, like a 14-digit number. So you will have to enter exactly the same prompt, the same order of words, the same order of characters with that exact code, and only then you will get this exactly the same video.
I was talking about your text to video.
Yes, I'm talking about that.
So just use the simple words, woman walking in the rain. If I type 10 times, do I get 10 different things?
Yes, on a website, there is actually a retry button. So let's say you typed a woman walking in the rain. It will generate this, but then you can click retry. And retry will give you, again, a woman walking in the rain, hopefully, but completely different. And you can click the retry button like 50 times until you find something that you like. And to be honest, this is part of the process, because a lot of this time, it's not exactly what you wanted, right? So I always, before I even see what I get, I will click retry like 3 or 4 times, and then you can pick one of those 5 options. But getting exactly the same thing twice without using that code and that exact number, exact order of characters is impossible.
We have time for probably just one more question, so.
Well, this kind of will play off. First of all, it's fabulous. Can't wait to play with it. This plays a little bit off of that. If you create a look, so you're playing around and you get it finally to somewhere that you want it, and then maybe you want to create a series of 5 videos that have that same look. And you have the prompts, but it took you a long time to get to that look. Can you save that to be able to iterate and create more from something that's been...
Yeah, consistency is something that's been asked a lot. It's not easy to have consistency. What I usually do is I try to keep some consistency in the text prompt that I use. Or sometimes I use an image generator, and when you use an image generator, the whole statics comes from that image generator. So if you put in a few consistent images, you will eventually end up with a consistent video. So there are a few workarounds for that as well. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right.
Okay, the fastest question ever asked and the fastest answer.
I think video to video is where my question is. In your experience working with the tool, were you more successful when you added a video that is actually filmed outside, or more successful when you added an image, added a video that's created by the tool?
Great question. A video that was created inside the platform does work a lot better than uploaded videos, but I did do a lot of experiment with uploaded videos from outside. I did this one video where I took a few scenes from a few scenes from Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks, and just kind of tried to replace his head with a raccoon. And that came out great. Do we have time to show this one maybe? No? Never mind. Just
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Let me find it real quick, because it's raccoons. It will take 2 seconds. Sorry. Yeah. This will be the best video. Here it is. Got it. So this is, it's modified region, but it's also video to video in a sense. Yeah. All right. Yes, there's also a demonstration in the end of how we kind of made it this one.
And so you just ran.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and you can see that was pretty simple. I just kind of selected his head and wrote raccoon head, back view, 3D animation, and got that one, and so on and so on. And thank you very much, guys. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matan. Yeah. And let's get set up for our next speaker. Very excited to introduce our final speaker of the evening, who is Ansh Mehra, educator and consultant. The title of Ansh's talk is AI Hacks for Designers. And without further delay, let's hear from Ansh.
Awesome. Can you hear me? Am I audible? So I was purposefully sitting at the very back to make sure that things are audible at the back. So quick accessibility check. Folks at the back, can you see the text? Can you hear me clearly? Awesome. Cool. Before I move ahead, raise your hand if you're not a designer. That's quite a few people. Very interesting. Awesome. I'm pretty sure you have seen OpenAI Sora's demo as well. Pika Labs, incredible platforms. Right? And anytime you see some LinkedIn post about these tools, they have this common misconception that this will replace the stock footage industry. This will completely change the way video editing works. The truth is, nobody really knows what's going to happen. And if you think about it closely, when you have algorithms that allow you to put a static image, put life to it, you always wonder, what will this do to the content creation industry? Because I can take your static image, add movement to it, change the outfits, and do whatever I want. In fact, there's a TikTok page called Unlock Learning, where this guy is literally using Kim Kardashian and Taylor Swift to teach math. And it's doing really, really well. Interesting ways how people can use AI to get attention. In fact, NBA has launched NBA AI. They had so much training data of basketball games that they ended up creating Spider-Man-looking videos out of their match footages. The question is this all about just making fancy videos? Not at all. The game is much bigger than that. Because if you were to scroll down to the bottom of Sora's landing page, you'd read this very tiny paragraph that says, Sora serves as a foundation for models that can understand and simulate the real world, a capability we believe will be an important milestone for achieving AGI. Now, just to bring everyone on the same page, AGI is nothing but a form of artificial intelligence that is closest to human-like intelligence. And when I say the word intelligence, it is just our ability to learn from our own experiences. So the day we achieve AGI, we'll essentially have AI that can learn from experiences. So is this entire game about selling $20 apps? No, the game is much bigger than that. Because all of this is actually leading us to achieve AGI. That is the bigger picture. But very few people are actually looking at it in this way. The agenda for today is split into 3 modules. In module 1, we'll have some important mindset shifts that I see very few designers talk about. Module number 2, I will share you some trade secrets that I have been using in India. So I live in India, I've come from India, and I consult businesses, I teach on YouTube. And these use cases are not those fluffy, useless use cases that you see on Twitter. These are the real use cases. And at the very end, roadmaps and next steps. So let's start with module number 1. What are these important mindsets that most people are missing? Firstly, people believe, especially founders and non-designers, that AI is going to be a cheap replacement. Absolutely not true. It's probably like an intern who's a little drunk. And that is the assumption that you keep when you use these tools. You have to be very careful about what they give you. I love this quote. This guy says, I don't fear artificial intelligence, I fear natural stupidity. And I love this quote because anytime I do these demos, I feel people get unnecessarily excited without being real about it. Now, your day-to-day work is split into 2 categories. You do a lot of execution, and then you have a lot of ideation, correct? It's literally either in A or B. For a very long time, people were paid just for execution, which means that if you were great at a specific tool, you were getting paid pretty well just for being able to learn how to use the software. Moving forward, the value of execution is going to go down, which means that for all of us who are trying to sell execution-based services, will be eventually forced to become better ideators. Ideation's value has always been valuable from day one, but now the value of execution is going down. Now, if I had to very easily summarize how human beings use AI tools, I can put this in this oversimplified flowchart. On the very top, you have a human being who thinks about the problem. AI doesn't know the problems that we face on a day-to-day basis. It's a human being who recognizes the problem statement. Human prompts AI. And when I say the word prompt, it's just a fancy way of saying that you are giving context and setting constraints. That is literally what prompting is. You literally set context of what you want and you add constraints to make sure you get the right results. When you give the prompt, AI gives you a result, and by default, that result is not good enough. So as a professional, you are responsible to validate what AI gives you and then build on top of that. But just building on top of what AI gives you is not enough. So at the very end, it is the human who delivers. Now, what do I mean by delivers? Just your ability to bring people together. Just your ability to tell a good story, to influence stakeholders. And this is how it goes in an iterative mode. So you would come to the last step, again go to the top, because you can never expect AI to give you a great result in the first iteration. So it's always after the second or third iteration that you get something useful. I absolutely love this campaign by Fiverr. It said, AI took my job to the next level. Very interesting take. If you look at the top right corner, you'd realize that they say, Luigi, freelance AI video maker, freelance AI artist. They're trying to make this entire new narrative around AI helping artists and not AI replacing artists. And humans are hooked while machines are learning. It's crazy how your Instagram knows more about you than your partner. And it's high time that we unhook ourselves and get back to learning what really matters. I saw this very insane tweet as well. It said, if you're not working multiple jobs with ChatGPT or leaving money on the table, extremely toxic. But this signals to something very interesting, that moving forward, one person would be able to do a lot of things at the same time. You will be able to deliver high quality of work in lesser amount of time, or you will be able to deliver high quality work to more number of people in the same amount of time. So of course, this is a spoof, but this signals to something extremely important. Now, we have 3 modules today, and in every module, we have 3 important takeaways. So right now, we just unlocked the first important takeaway from module 1, which is that artists are going to be the biggest customers of AI. They're not going to be replaced by AI. We're going to be the ones buying the subscriptions before anybody else in the game does. Sam Altman said that there soon will be a $1 billion company run by just one person. This is very similar to the signal that we got in the tweet, because that is only possible when one person is able to wear multiple hats. And it's going to be easier and easier because of these generic tools out in the market. How many of you know about this word arbitrage? Can you raise your hands? Is there anyone who knows arbitrage? So very few people, right? Arbitrage is our ability to sell something in a different market and earn on the margins, simply because that market is unaware. The thing about arbitrage is that it is only available for a limited time frame, which means that you can make money because of arbitrage only for 3 months, 4 months. So there's a limited window where you can squeeze in as much money as you want, because after the 4th month, everyone will be on the same page. So you lose the arbitrage. Now, you cannot expect to learn some AI tools and expect to earn high forever, because the market is changing every single quarter. So the second takeaway for today is that there is a limited window for making money, and it shrinks as time passes by. So if you're learning Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, Pika Labs, and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to be making money for the rest of my life, no. There's an arbitrage window, and you have to act fast. That's why Sam Altman says you should probably be the world's fastest iterative company on the move. Because at this point, it's not about tech stacks or talent. It's about how quickly can you move, how quickly can you unlearn and learn new things and stay updated. A lot of people talk about what AI can do. Anytime I do these sessions, I always talk about what AI cannot do. Because if we truly identify what AI cannot do, that is where we have leverage as human beings. But very few people talk about that. Let me give you a quick example. in the UX world, we have a lot of LinkedIn influencers, and I am guilty of it. I am also a person who talks about UX on LinkedIn. The thing about LinkedIn is that nothing useful ever gets attention. It's always the fluffy stuff. And you would see this LinkedIn post saying, I use ChatGPT to come up with user personas and information architecture. What a terrible use case. User personas are literally the most human thing about the entire design process. However, you can always use ChatGPT to find gaps in your questionnaires. Ask ChatGPT, this is the product that I'm making, this is the target audience, can you tell me what I should ask them? And then use ChatGPT to find gaps in your thought processes and not outsource the entire user personas. A lot of people say, why don't you write an article, put it inside ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to build on top of it? Terrible advice. You should never use ChatGPT to refine your final draft. You always use it for the first draft. You get the key points and then you build on top of it, because the final output should be as close to your human intelligence as you can. Because if the final draft is written by AI, very soon all of these platforms, by the way, they will detect AI output. It's not rocket science for them. These are the guys who are making AI outputs. So if you feel that you can scale well by writing AI-written tweets or AI-written LinkedIn posts, you are walking on thin ice. So you need to flip the way you use AI. Use it for the first draft and not the last. With that, we unlock the third takeaway from Module 1, that it's equally important to know what AI cannot do for the next 1 quarter. Because nobody knows what will happen after the 3rd month. So you can only predict your next 3 steps and not the next 10 steps. Before I move to Module 2, let's quickly revise what I taught you in Module number 1. Number 1, artists are going to be the biggest customers of AI. They're not going to be replaced. Number 2, stay updated because your arbitrage window is shrinking with every week passing. So you need to make sure that you're making amount of money in that limited window. Don't stay relaxed for a very long time. And at the very end, don't over-obsess about what AI can do. Also understand what AI cannot do and double down on those things, because that is the leverage that you will have for a long time. Now, none of these takeaways are helpful unless you have a call to action to follow once you go back home. So your call to action from Module 1 is that ask yourself, list the areas at work where you're ideating versus executing, and then rate yourself. Am I a great ideator or am I a great executor? And if you're a great executor, think again, because you'd have to figure out, how do I become a better ideator? But if you feel that, yes, I am a great ideator, you're heading in the right direction. So let's start with Module 2, because I'm done with all the boring theory. Let's actually come down to real use cases and real practical tools that can help you get things done. It's very interesting how robots are making art and humans are stuck in offices doing 9-to-5 jobs. When all of this started, we thought that, amazing, bro, like this is crazy. Like robots are going to be doing all the tedious jobs and human beings are going to be making art. Very unfortunate how the tables have turned, and it's high time that we flip it again and get leverage back on our side. So there are 3 use cases that I will share with you. Number 1, how you break down inspiration and make sense of inspiration. This could be for graphic designers, marketing designers, UI designers. Use case number 2, getting visual design feedback on what you have created, which is extremely helpful for students who do not have access to expensive mentors or expensive teachers. I am a self-taught designer, so it was extremely difficult for me to get feedback. But now with something like this, amazing level of feedback is now democratized universally. And at the very end, this is great for YouTubers and content creators who have been using Midjourney to create B-roll. Incredible use case. I'll get to it super soon. Let's start with use case number 1, breaking down inspiration. As a product designer, I spend a lot of time looking at screens. And I have a friend, his name is, so he's built this company called Mobin. Brilliant place to get UI screenshots. But it's very difficult to look at all of these screenshots and analyze and find patterns. Now, before I show you how I prompt ChatGPT, I'm going to share a very valuable secret of mine. It's a 4-part checklist. And if you use this 4-part checklist for any of your prompts, I can guarantee that your ChatGPT outputs are going to be 10 times better than anybody else in the game. And this is how the checklist looks like. And this has been floating on LinkedIn for a while, so it's not new for a lot of people. Step number 1, you assign a relevant role. And I will show you how this works in just 10 seconds. Step number 2, you set the context and you define the task. Step number 3, you add constraints. And step number 4, you set expectations. What a useless checklist, Ansh. How does this even work? Let me show you how it works. This is the prompt. Act as a senior UI designer who specializes in iOS mobile onboarding experiences. Notice how specific I am about the platform and the flow I am designing today. I'll feed you 3 screenshots. Each screenshot shows the onboarding flow for an iOS app. I am designing a new onboarding flow for an app that helps college students find flatmates. I need you to study all the 3 apps I show you. Then, you need to list out all common UI patterns they have, list out all the differences they have, point out 2 good things and bad things each has done in their UI design. Keep your answers short and to the point and speak from the lens of a UX designer. Give all answers in well-formatted headings and bullet points. Now let me break down this prompt for you. How can you make similar prompts at home? This was the checklist that I was following. Number 1, assigning a role. I said UI designer, iOS, onboarding experiences. Step number 2, setting the context. Why am I here? What do I need from you? Be as specific as you can. Set the constraints. I want common UI patterns. Tell me 2 things that are good, 2 things that are bad, right? You have to lay down the guidelines. It's almost like an intern who's a little drunk, right? So you have to be as specific as you can be. And always set expectations, because by default, the way ChatGPT speaks is terrible. Unnecessary paragraphs, unnecessary apologies for not being able to think like a human being. We don't want any of that. Literally tell ChatGPT, stick to the point, give me answers in well-formatted headings. As soon as you do that, put in the screenshots, copy-paste the prompt, boom, you have common UI patterns, you have everything good and bad from each and every competitor, you have all of these crazy things within 10 seconds. With that, we unlock the first takeaway from module number 2, that AI is super good at finding patterns, yet very few people are leveraging this strength in a smart way. They're only using it for text generation. They're barely using this as a mentor. Now, how do you get something checked from ChatGPT? If it's a poster or a carousel or even your logo, how do you get visual design feedback? The first principles remain the same. So we can just tweak the prompt just by a bit. This time it's for a LinkedIn carousel. So I will say, act as a marketing designer specializing in LinkedIn carousel designs for social media. I have a meetup coming up. I want you to critique my promotional carousel. It has 4 slides. You need to scan the screenshot and give me feedback on visual design, copy, and colors. If there's anyone here in the field of marketing design, they would know that these 3 components are the most important components of your visuals. It's design, it's copy, and the colors. The goal here is to get them to register. I need you to only tell me areas where I can improve. This is important because by default, ChatGPT would unnecessarily start pointing the obvious, and that is not useful to you. Tell me where I can improve, followed by a CTA to fix that. I'm a big believer of CTAs. I feel like very few people ask for CTAs. Without CTA, any output that you get from ChatGPT is useless to you. I also say that I need you to give me 3 more concrete, distinct, and powerful ideas that will make this carousel more effective. In the end, give me a caption, but it's terrible at giving captions. I hate the captions generated by ChatGPT. I always use Gemini for that because a lot of people are saying it's been trained on Google Ads data. Not sure how true is that, but yeah, just a quick tip. Very straightforward. I would paste the prompt, and then within 10 seconds, I would get amazing feedback on my visual design, on my copy. But you have to make sure that you go back to the flowchart, because folks, all of these things are great and exciting, but in the end, it is your responsibility to validate whatever AI gives you and then build on top of that. Because by default, in the first output, you will never get things that are extremely groundbreaking. It usually points out the obvious, which is not very useful to someone who's been in the game for more than a decade. That unlocks our second takeaway, that instead of over-indexing on prompting skills, over-indexing on executionary skills, eventually all of us will be paid for our ability to set context, to add constraints, and then simply validating AI outputs. If you crack these 3 things, your ability to write clearly, and when I say write clearly, writing the right context, adding constraints, and your ability to validate AI output, you will be sorted. But very few people are talking about these exact skill sets. I am a YouTuber, I have a podcast, and in a lot of cases, I don't find the right stock videos, the right stock images. At this point, I've been combining a couple of tools to come up with really good-looking B-rolls. So I had Nirayal, the author of Hooked, on the show, and he was talking about Plato and athletes. And I ended up going to Midjourney. I generated an image of Plato, went inside Photoshop. Photoshop has this new feature called Select Subject, and you can also delete the subject using GenAI. So I isolated Plato, exported that as a PNG, had the background as a separate layer, went inside After Effects, which is a video editing tool, and I added a parallax effect between the subject and the background. This kind of creative freedom was never accessible before. It is absolutely groundbreaking for a YouTuber or even an Instagrammer to get this level of freedom as a creator. And it's crazy, or this is the latest worst AI will ever be. If you think about it, it only goes up from here. So instead of talking about, oh, can I become a Midjourney expert? Can I become an After Effects expert? All of us need to figure out how do we find overlaps between tools? Because that gives you the maximum leverage. Being able to use multiple tools in tandem, that is where you find intersections that are unavailable to the rest of the creative people. Unfortunately, very few people are exploring this intersection. A lot of people make the use of AI so obvious. I have been practicing how to use AI in a way where it's almost invisible. And that is the real art. If people can easily spot that this is an AI-generated image, what's the point? If people can quickly read your PRDs and LinkedIn posts and figure out this is written by ChatGPT, what is the point? The real art is using it in ways where nobody can spot it. Let me give you a quick practical example. This is me on Instagram. I had a paid reel with this brand called BenQ. They sell monitors. And we had a script where the first scene of the script was me talking to a very fancy American freelance client. And the American client says, Ansh, have you received the payment? And then I get a notification from PayPal. Now the thing is, they didn't want me to show PayPal's logo in the first frame itself because they said, what if people think this reel was sponsored by PayPal? PayPal is not sponsoring this reel, Ansh, so you can't use PayPal's logo. So I needed a new logo, and all I did was go to ChatGPT and say, give me a logo of a fake PayPal. And it gave me within 10 seconds, and it is so genius. Like, this is not PayPal, but it sort of reminds me of PayPal. The voiceover was generated by 11 Labs, so I think that is very straightforward. But nobody could know that Ansh has used AI for the voiceover or for the notification. Anytime I'm posting on LinkedIn, I never write any text post without an image. How many of you here are trying to build a personal brand on LinkedIn? Is there anyone? Folks, you have to do that. Like, why is nobody interested in that? That is the easiest thing to do in today's time, to build a personal brand and have leverage. But yeah, this is not a personal branding class, so we'll do that sometime else. But if on LinkedIn, if you complement a text post with an image, the reach doubles. If you put a URL in your LinkedIn post, the reach is cut by 50%. That is why a lot of people say, go to the first comment for the link. So the link is always in the first comment that they pin. If you put up a URL in your LinkedIn post, LinkedIn renames it as link.in/blah, blah, blah. Why? Because LinkedIn doesn't want people to escape LinkedIn. Because people use LinkedIn on their desktops, and if they have a link accessible, they would just get distracted. So yeah, what I now do is anytime I have a LinkedIn post, I would go to ChatGPT, get a quick image, and just put it in the text post. And I would easily get up to 15 to 16,000 impressions in just a week. I used to get 5,000 impressions if it was just text. But this is such an easy hack, yet very few people are leveraging it. I make a lot of YouTube videos where I share advice, but the thing is, I make really long YouTube videos. Now, when it comes to YouTube, people love frameworks. There's something about the word framework that gets you a lot of attention. I am using ChatGPT to literally get frameworks out of my own thoughts. So I would go to ChatGPT and say, I am making a YouTube video on how to plan your 2024. I have 5 things. These are the 5 things. Give me 5 suggestions for putting all of these steps in an acronym framework. And choose simple words only. And it ended up giving me audit, assessing, understanding, deciding, implementing, and tracking. And people in the comment section are going crazy. Oh, the audit framework is so helpful. How did Ansh come up with this framework? This is going to change my life. And nobody would ever guess that I use ChatGPT for this. This is how you use AI smartly. By combining your innate intelligence and using AI to take it to the next level. And not become lazy and replace your intelligence with this artificial intelligence. That is not how this game was supposed to run. So, last takeaway from Module 2. Use AI in ways where it's almost impossible to catch. Please don't make it obvious. This is the real art that we need to talk about. We're almost at the very end. quick revision from what we learned in module number 2. Number 1, AI is supremely good at finding patterns across subjects. Please leverage that strength. Lesson number 2, you need to learn the art of adding context, setting constraints, and then validating AI work. At the very end, figure out how you can use AI in ways where it's almost unrecognizable. Your call to action would be that once you go back home, just use ChatGPT to get visual design feedback. Use it for anything, but at least try it once. Brainstorm with AI on any topic that you're working on. Don't ask for suggestions. Simply say, become my mentor, let's brainstorm with me. And whatever you learn from this session, go home, document it, put it on LinkedIn, and just try once. Just use ChatGPT for an image. Put that image on a LinkedIn post. Tell me if it gave you double the reach or not. And it will. Almost at the very end, Ansh, you've given us too much data. Now, what do we do next? What is the next step? So, first of all, never blindly follow what I say or what anybody else says. You have to pick and choose what works for you, because each and every one of us are working in different companies, different cultures, different priorities. So before I tell you the next steps, please be mindful, never blindly accept and follow anyone in this world. Buddha, what makes us human? Selecting all images with traffic lights. Right? And it's very interesting because not sure if you know how capture works, but when we do the capture, it's actually being used to train AI. Like it was all meant to train AI, and it's crazy how the flywheel is now turning against us. The most important tip that I would give is that please don't focus on being a specialist on a tool, because the market is shifting. We're shifting from being specialists to generalists. That is why 5 years ago, a specialist tool like Photoshop would do very well. But now Adobe has launched Adobe Express, which is literally a web app that has all the top features from all of their tools that they had developed before, and it is serving generalists. Startups are hiring generalists like crazy. So the market is shifting from hiring people that have 10 years of experience to generalists who can bring outcomes. So we're shifting from experience-driven to outcome-driven. So you need to make sure that you're exploring combinations of tools and you become more outcome-driven. These are some combinations that I've been using. I know that we have very limited time, so I don't want to get deep into it, but I would recommend you folks to just go on YouTube and just literally copy-paste this. Because I've been using Figma, Midjourney, and ChatGPT in tandem. Midjourney and Magnific AI, terrific combination. In fact, we have a very talented artist here in the audience. Her name is Claire. And Claire, are you there? Oh yeah, she's there. So Claire is using Midjourney and Magnific in a very tremendous way. Would totally recommend you to check it out. And yes, folks, it's not just about executing on a specific tool. You will get paid for your ability to put things together. With so many AI tools floating in the market, specialized for each and every niche use case, your biggest strength is to be, number one, be aware of these tools, and number two, being able to stitch together everything that is available in the market. Should you focus on experience and software skills? No. I think we all need to be all about delivering outcomes. The market is now shifting to become very, very outcome-driven. So yes, folks, that's my YouTube channel. I have shared very superficial knowledge today, to be honest. But on my YouTube channel, I regularly upload tutorials that are highly in-depth, highly no fluff, only stuff matter. So you'll find a dedicated playlist on ChatGPT, Midjourney, and a lot of masterclasses. That's my Instagram. If you liked any interesting thing, hope you put up a story, tag me, tag Jackson, tag the AI user group. We would love to repost and get your feedback on that. I'm always available on Instagram for quick DMs. That's not AI replying, that's me. I don't have any automations running on that. I am a designer and I'm extremely bullish about spatial design. If any of you are interested in the world of spatial design, I have already started teaching it on YouTube. I personally feel that people over-index on mobile phones and tablets and laptops. I think the next wave is going to be for AR and VR. With that being said, this is the sheet that has all the takeaways in one single slide. In case you want to do like a quick revision, this always helps to have everything in one single place. So I'll let that be on the screen for 2 seconds, because it's very important to just quickly revise what we learned. And these are all the call to actions in one single place. If you implement even one of these 6 call to actions, I'm telling you the ROI is going to be 10 times better than any one. I hope that you take care of your mind and body. This is Ansh Mehra signing out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ansh.
I'll take questions with the handheld mic.
Q&A. We are very short on time. I don't think we have time. Are there any questions for Ansh?
We can do it in the networking.
Yeah, let's do it in networking. So please follow up with Ansh in networking. With that being said, let's. Thanks for being here. If you want to show support, follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter. And if you'd like to email me, my email is jackson@aiusergroup.com. What else? Follow our next meetups, meetup.com. These are our upcoming meetups. We have AI for designers in 4 weeks. So March 27th, the lineup is posted, so take a look and please register. We have AI for developers next week on Tuesday night. So that's we usually do this on Wednesday, but it will be on Tuesday. So if you'd like to check that out, please do. And we have AI for marketers on March 20th. That's a Wednesday. That'll be right here. All these meetups, the lineup is posted. So take a look and see if the content interests you. We'd love to see you again. With that being said, we have about 5 minutes to do Q&A up here, not Q&A, to do open mic. So if you'd like to come up and make an announcement, this is a good way to kick off networking. So don't be shy. This is by request. Come up here, introduce yourself. Some ideas can be job openings, product announcements, startup ideas, consulting, things like that. Would anyone like to make an open mic announcement? You could just queue up right here. We're gonna start. Yeah, come on up. It's a good way. We're gonna have pizza in a moment, so it's a good way to sort of get things started and build community. Yeah, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Betsy. I'm a product designer at Kira Learning. It's a startup that's building a platform to help teachers and students learn computer science. And we are currently hiring for a senior product designer to help lead the teacher experience. So if you're curious about and passionate about education and technology, just come up and chat with me.
Thank you very much, Betsy. That was a perfect example of an announcement. Job opening. So can I, let's do it. Please do. By the way, the LinkedIn live audience is also watching this. So Betsy, if you'd like to post a follow-up in the comments of the live stream, that can be a good place for people to follow.
Hey, not exactly related to AI, but I own Diablo Escapes in Walnut Creek. It's a virtual reality escape room, and I'd be happy to offer all of you and all your friends discounts. So use AI designers as the code and check out a virtual reality escape room in Walnut Creek.
That sounds pretty cool. Escape room, Walnut Creek. Anyone else? Designers might be the shyest audience, I think. That's okay.
How's it going? I come here all the time announcing the same thing. My name is Joselito. I'm part of a group that we call Revolt, and we're AI designers, creators, filmmakers, storytellers, and we're looking for collaborators, people that use this pretty much to utilize AI for not just creation, but for other things. For example, some of the people in our group are into voice cloning and all the fun that you can do with that. My particular thing is in motion design and animation and storytelling. And so we're always looking for folks that are interested in not just collaborating, but just like sharing information as well. So if you're interested in just being part of our group, we're all local here, and hope to talk to people that are into this. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Joselito.
Hi, my name's Annie. I'm from Algo TV. We're from Italy, me and Marina, my buddy there. So we basically create video automation, and we implement AI tools in our projects for our clients. So we're here to network. We're here to know like what interesting AI projects you're working on. Maybe there would be something interesting for us to like put into our pipeline for our clients. So we'll be happy to chat, hanging around for the next probably 30 minutes or so. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the announcement.
Hi everyone, I'm Anirudh. I'm Chief of Staff and Head of Strategy and Operations at a startup called Darwin Box. We are a software for HR and employees. We're a late stage, growth stage company, been around for 8 years. We're huge in Asia Pacific, launched in the US last year. And one of the biggest challenges or learnings for us have been the cultural nuances, how people perceive the brand, the product, etc. So we're looking for people who can help us bridge that gap in our understanding, help us with design thinking from a US standpoint, how to position the product, etc., etc. So if somebody has experience in that space, done B2B SaaS, would love to chat. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Anyone who's made an announcement, please feel free to post it once again in the LinkedIn chat so people can follow up, whether they're here in person or on the live stream. We have time for 1 or 2 more announcements. How about Julia?
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm the creative director for a new startup called Cat Crazy. And we literally just started, but we're still looking for a few roles to fill, including email and social marketing person, possibly UI UX, and also backend developer for an online store.
Thanks so much, Julia. One more announcement. You got the mic, you got the floor, you got the live stream. The opportunity's here. No one else? Okay. Well, let's close the show then. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Please check out our next events. If you'd like to get in touch with me, that is my email, jackson@aiusergroup.com. And I'd like to see you again next week at AI for Developers. That's Tuesday. And we'll do AI for Designers in exactly 4 weeks, same place, Wednesday night. And AI for Marketers in about 3 weeks. So take a look. All those are posted on meetup.com. And let's enjoy some networking and enjoy some pizza, build community, and meet each other. So thank you very much. And thank you, LinkedIn Livestream, for joining us.